I've worked with over 100 CEOs, and if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. The most valuable thing you can deliver as a finance pro is insight. Insight that drives the right business decisions at the right time. But too often, reporting gets buried in noise. Long and ugly spreadsheets, too many metrics, no clear story, just raw data with no direction. And I know, because I used to do that too. But when your numbers are focused, visual, tailored to the right audience, everything changes. You build trust, you drive action, you become a strategic voice in the room. And that's where I want you to be by the end of this video. I'll walk you through my 4-step framework for financial storytelling and how you can use dashboards like these already connected to your QuickBooks Online data to make your storytelling a breeze. But first, let me tell you about the moment that made this all click for me. See, when a client stops replying to my emails, it's usually a bad sign that they're gonna churn. And unfortunately, it's happened way too many times than I'd like to admit. One time, I had a client on the phone and decided to just ask point blank, "Hey, I sent over a few emails with financial reports. Why haven't you responded?" And he said, "What, this? I have no idea what I'm supposed to do with this. It's hundreds of rows on every tab, just totally overwhelming. And I'm already overwhelmed by a million other things in my business. I hired you to reduce that, not add to it." And honestly, he was right. That moment stuck with me because it's the same mistake that I see finance and accounting professionals make all the time. We export raw reports straight from the accounting software, overloaded with details, no context, no structure, just a giant CSV dump. And then we wonder why people don't read it or value our work. Look, we live in a TikTok world now. Our brains are constantly bombarded with information. We only pay attention to what's enjoyable, important, or relevant. Right now, most financial reports check none of those boxes. But if you follow this 4-part framework, you can flip that completely. You can turn your reporting into something your clients genuinely appreciate, or even share with others while singing your praises in their network because it's that clear, that helpful, and that impressive. And the first part of the framework starts with you asking one specific question. Who is the audience you are reporting to? Because not everyone in the business cares about the same things. Leadership wants to know how much cash is in the bank and how fast it's being spent or how quickly the business is growing. The board of directors cares about those things too, but they're often more focused on whether the growth is happening in the right way. Are we using the capital efficiently? Are our margins where they need to be? Department heads, they may not even know what a margin is. They're just trying to figure out, how much can I spend? Am I over or under budget? So before you do anything, you need to really think about who you're presenting to, because it's that question that leads us to the second part of the framework, our key metrics. Remember that story I shared earlier, the client who opened my spreadsheet and said, "I have no idea what I'm supposed to do with this"? That report only had 4 tabs, but together it was hundreds of rows and totally overwhelming. That's what happens when you start too deep, too fast. You wouldn't open a book to chapter 14 and expect it to make sense. So don't start your reporting at the transaction level either. Always begin with the macro view, because most people will only give you 5 to 10 seconds before they tune out. They're looking for the headline, not the footnotes. That can always be requested or analyzed later. So what should you actually show at the macro level? Well, most companies start with the 3 core financial statements. The profit and loss, which shows revenue, expenses, and multiple layers of profitability. The balance sheet, which gives you the full position of the company, how much cash is on hand, what's owed, and what's been retained over time. And the cash flow statement, which tracks how money is moving in and out of the business. These are your financial statement, built with what's known as generally accepted accounting principles, or GAAP if you really want to sound cool. GAAP is the rule book for how financial data is recorded and reported. But GAAP alone won't give you the full picture. That's where non-GAAP metrics come in. And this is where you really tailor your story. Here are a few metrics that I use all the time. Sales, customer count, pipeline. Then for team metrics, I'll include things like how many people are on the team or who's being hired. And if you're in SaaS, you have ARR, MRR, churn, CAC payback, net dollar retention. These specific metrics will depend on who you're reporting to, which we covered in the last section. But the principle stays the same. Start macro, spot the signal, then zoom in only when you need to. That's the second part of the framework. Share what happened clearly and concisely. But even if you're presenting the right numbers, people still may not understand why they matter. because you're leaving one crucial detail. Okay, quick question. Would you invest in this business? It looks pretty impressive, right? $1 million in income, solid margins, strong profits. And when you glance at the cash flow, same story, looking great. But now, what if this was just last month's data? Well, that's a pretty concerning drop. What if this is the same period last year, especially relevant for seasonal businesses? Well, now it starts to look like this business is heading in the wrong direction. And if this is what they budgeted for, clearly finance doesn't know what they're doing. And that's you. This is why context matters. What you're doing here is called horizontal analysis, comparing performance across time, scenario, or benchmark. Last month, last year, against budget, or even better, compared to other companies in the same industry. These comparisons change everything. But then there's also what's known as vertical analysis, where you look at proportions instead of timelines. We're talking margins or ratios, how much you're spending relative to revenue. This tells a completely different side of the story. And now you can calculate one of my favorite metrics, return on equity. How efficiently a company is generating profits relative to the amounts owed to the owners. Because if there's $1 billion invested in a company and it's generating just $1 million in cash flows, that means it would take 1,000 months just to make your money back. And that's not even factoring in the time value of money. Here's the key. Metrics in a vacuum are meaningless. Context is what makes them valuable. It's how you go from we made $1 million to we're in trouble or we're crushing it. And in your role as a finance leader, especially as a CFO, this might be the most important part of your job, helping people understand what the numbers actually mean. And that leads us to the most powerful thing you can drive, our fourth part of the framework. But before we get there, let me show you how you can get all of these dashboards connected to your company's data automatically. See, everything we've talked about so far sounds great in theory, but let's be honest, building all this manually takes serious time and skill. And if it's taking you 3+ hours every month to put together these reports, it's probably not sustainable. That's exactly why my team and I built Model Wiz, where all this is right at your fingertips. Watch this. Here I've got my QuickBooks connected, and I'm gonna download this financial health dashboard. Boom, a full financial dashboard tailored to my business. I'll take a quick screenshot, and now I've got something I could Slack to a client right away. But that's just the start. I can also generate a full 3-statement model, plus all kinds of powerful reports and KPIs connected to my data. And with just one click, I can now export it to PDF. Just like that, I've got a clean, professional CFO report that I know will impress my audience. If you want to try it yourself, you can, totally for free, at modelwiz.com. All right, let's now bring this home with our final part of the financial storytelling framework. And this is the whole reason you were hired in the first place. Now that you've delivered the right information to the right people and given them the context to understand why it matters, it's time to jump into action. This is where your role as a CFO really shines. Say you missed your sales target. Was your conversion rate too aggressive? Are deals just delayed in the pipeline? Or maybe you had an error in your Excel file. Hey, I've been there. It stings. Your job is to now take those insights and turn them into a plan. Should you raise capital sooner? Should you cut burn by scaling back? Or maybe you should double down on what's working. You may not be the one executing every step, but you are the one steering the financial ship. And you got this. And if you've made it this far, it's clear you're serious about leveling up your financial reporting game. And here's the truth. The best insights often come from a solid forecast or financial model, where you can understand both where the company has been as well as where it's going. So check out this video next, where I walk you through how to build a simple, effective 3-statement model. I'm Josh, your CFO guy. And if you got value from this video, hit that like button, subscribe. It all really helps the channel. And I'll catch you in the next one.